You know the dad bod. We've all seen the memes. It's that slow, kind of creeping expansion around the middle that just happens after years of juggling work, family, and everything else life throws at you. Well, for one statistician and father of two, this wasn't a joke anymore. He decided to fight back, but not with some vague New Year's resolution. No, he used the one tool he trusted more than anything: data. So let's dive in and see what his personal investigation uncovered.
I mean, that really hits home, doesn't it? He just achieved this huge life goal, buying his dream house, and he kind of took a look in the mirror and realized, his health had totally taken a back seat. It was time for a reset, a mission, really, to get back his energy, his focus, and what he called his youth and resilience.
So how does a numbers guy, a statistician, solve a problem like the dad bod? Well, you guessed it. He turns his own body into a massive data project. He started logging everything: workouts, sleep, what he was eating, his stress levels, launching a full-on investigation into his own biology. And trust me, the clues he found are pretty fascinating.
Okay, so every good investigation needs a clear objective, right? He wasn't just vaguely trying to get in shape. He set 3 super specific, metric-driven goals for a 3-month self-experiment. This was serious business.
And here they are. First up, fix the foundation: sleep. And not just any sleep. He was targeting deep sleep, which is absolutely crucial for recovery. Second, the main event: get his body fat all the way down to a lean 10%. And third, and this is the really tricky part, he wanted to simultaneously increase his lean muscle mass to a very, very precise 83.7 kilograms. Right, so the whole investigation kicked off with sleep. He figured out pretty quickly that getting at least an hour of deep sleep was the key to feeling, well, human and energized. So based on that, he set a really clear target for himself: get somewhere between 13% and 23% deep sleep every single night.
But when the initial data started rolling in, it was not great. Looking at his average across the whole 3 months, the number staring back at him was just 10%. That was way below the 13% minimum he was shooting for. He was basically failing, night after night, to get the kind of sleep he needed. So, the question was, how often did he actually hit his goal?
And yeah, the full picture is even more stark. On any given night, he had almost an 80% chance of failing to get that restorative sleep he was after. Just a 1 in 5 shot at success. So our data detective had to figure out why, what was helping him and what was sabotaging him.
And his findings here were full of surprises. Get this. The data suggested that a moderate amount of stress and a slightly higher resting heart rate actually correlated with better deep sleep. It was like a just right Goldilocks zone. The culprits, though, were a bit more what you'd expect. The biggest offenders wrecking his sleep? Stimulants. Things like a supplement called Rosenrot and pre-workouts, especially when they were fueling workouts late in the day.
And that brings us to case file number 2, the body fat heist. With sleep under a microscope, it was time to focus on that next big objective. And the mission was ambitious, it was clear. Get that body fat percentage all the way down to 10%.
Now, his statistical model pointed to a few key supplements. He's quick to say, take this with a grain of salt since he added them late in the game. But still, the model suggested a pretty big drop in body fat from cod liver oil and creatine, and another little dip from chia seeds. But the most surprising clue? It wasn't a supplement at all.
He drops this weird little phrase in his write-up: a little dirt, as they say, saves the toad. It's cryptic, right? It hints at something completely counterintuitive, something that totally goes against all that clean-eating gospel we're always hearing about.
And this is the million-dollar question. We're always told that cheat days are the enemy, right? That they just derail all your progress? But what if, when you use them strategically, they could actually be a tool? His data had the answer.
And the data showed this shocking pattern. His cheat days, which were really just high-carb days, were consistently followed by these huge spikes in his workout volume. And then, incredibly, they were often followed by a drop in his body fat percentage. So instead of hurting him, they seemed to be fueling his toughest workouts and actually speeding up his fat loss. Wild.
So this brings us to our final and maybe the toughest case file of them all: the muscle-building paradox. Cracking this code is what people in fitness sometimes call the holy grail.
It is the classic conundrum. I mean, think about it.
To lose fat, you need to eat fewer calories, but to build muscle, you need to eat more. Trying to do both at once seems impossible. It's like trying to drive a car forward and in reverse at the exact same time. All the conventional wisdom says, no way, can't be done.
But his data told a completely different story. As you can see, conventional wisdom screams no, but his results showed a clear and definite yes. His lean mass, his actual muscle went up, while his total weight and his body fat went down. He was actually doing it. The only question was, how?
So his model pointed to a whole mix of things. Certain supplements, sure, like creatine and ashwagandha, showed a really strong positive link. But so did his recovery habits, like meditation, and this is an interesting one, even sleeping alone, which probably just points to getting deeper, more uninterrupted sleep. He also noticed he gained less muscle on work days, which just goes to show how critical that rest and recovery really is.
And when he dug deep into his nutrition data, he found the final clue. After he filtered out those cheat days to find the real core pattern, one specific combination stood out from all the rest. The cleanest, most consistent gains in lean muscle happened on days that were fueled by a high-carbohydrate, low-fat diet. That was the secret sauce.
So, after 3 months of spreadsheets, supplements, and strategic cheat days, what's the final verdict from our data detective? What are the biggest, most useful lessons we can take away from this whole experiment?
Well, it really boils down to these key lessons. 1. Tracking your data actually works. It shows you patterns you would never see otherwise. 2. Sleep is king. You have to prioritize it. 3. Don't be afraid of a cheat day. Learn to use it as fuel. 4. Creatine is simple. It's effective. There are no gimmicks. 5. A high-carb, moderate-fat diet seems to be the sweet spot for changing your body composition. 6. Be picky about your other supplements. And finally, and this is the most important one, your body is a feedback loop. You have to be willing to experiment, listen to your own data, and adjust as you go.
In the end, this whole experiment wasn't just about getting a six-pack, was it? It was about reclaiming energy and confidence. It just goes to show what's possible when you stop guessing and you start measuring. And that leaves us with one final question for you. If you were going to launch your own personal health investigation, what's the #1 thing you'd want to find out about yourself?